Hello everyone, welcome back to our YouTube channel, The Ultimate Audiobook. Today we will start the session with third theme of NCERT History textbook. So let's begin with introduction. Empires. Over the 2 millennia that followed the establishment of empires in Mesopotamia, various attempts at empire building took place across the region and in the area to the west and east of it. By the 6th century BCE, Iranians had established control over major parts of the Assyrian Empire. Networks of trade developed over land as well as along the coast of the Mediterranean Sea. In the eastern Mediterranean, Greek cities and their colonies benefited from improvements in trade that were the result of the changes. They also benefited from close trade with nomadic people to the north of the Black Sea. In Greece, for the most part, city-states such as Athens and Sparta were the focus of civic life. From among the Greek states, in the late 4th century BC, the ruler of the kingdom of Macedon, Alexander, undertook a series of military campaigns and conquered parts of North Africa, West Asia, and Iran, reaching up to the Bias. Here his soldiers refused to proceed further east. Alexander's troops retreated, though many Greeks stayed behind. Throughout the area under Alexander's control, ideals and cultural traditions were shared amongst the Greeks and the local population. The region on the whole became Hellenist. The Greeks were called Hellenes, and Greek became a well-known language throughout. The political unity of Alexander's empire disintegrated quickly after his death, but for almost 3 centuries after, Hellenistic culture remained important in the area. The period is often referred to as the Hellenistic Period in the history of the region, but this ignores the way in which other cultures, especially Iranian culture associated with the old empire of Iran, were as important as, if not often more important than, Hellenistic notions and ideas. This section deals with important aspects of what happened after this. Small but well organized military forces of the central Italian city state of Rome took advantage of the political discord that followed the disintegration of Alexander's empire and established control over North Africa and the eastern Mediterranean from the 2nd century BC. At the time, Rome was a republic. Government was based on a complex system of election, but its political institutions gave some importance to birth and wealth, and society benefited from slavery. The forces of Rome established a network for trade between the states that had once been part of Alexander's empire. In the middle of the 1st century BC, under Julius Caesar, a high-born military commander, this Roman Empire was extended to present-day Britain and Germany. Latin, spoken in Rome, was the main language of the empire, though many in the East continued to use Greek, and the Romans had a great respect for Hellenic culture. There were changes in the political structure of the empire from the late 1st century BC, and it was substantially Christianized after the Emperor Constantine became a Christian in the 4th century CE. To make government easier, the Roman Empire was divided into eastern and western halves in the 4th century CE. But in the west, there was a breakdown of the arrangements that existed between Rome and the tribes in frontier areas: Goths, Visigoths, Vandals, and others. These arrangements dealt with trade, military recruitment, and settlement, and the tribes increasingly attacked the Roman administration. Conflicts increased in scale and coincided with internal dissensions in the empire, leading to the collapse of the empire in the west by the 5th century CE. Tribes established their own kingdoms within the former empire, though with the prompting of the Christian Church, a Holy Roman Empire was formed from some of these kingdoms from the 9th century CE. This claimed some continuity with the Roman Empire. Between the 7th century and the 15th century, Almost all the lands of the Eastern Roman Empire, centered on Constantinople, came to be taken over by the Arab Empire, created by the followers of the Prophet Muhammad, who founded the faith of Islam in the 7th century and centered on Damascus, or by its successors who ruled from Baghdad initially. There was a close interaction between Greek and Islamic traditions in the region. The trading networks of the area and its prosperity attracted the attention of pastoral peoples to the north, including various Turkic tribes who often attacked the cities of the region and established control. The last of these peoples to attack the area and attempt to control it were the Mongols under Genghis Khan and his successors who moved into West Asia, Europe, Central Asia, and China in the 13th century. All these attempts to make and maintain empires were driven by the search to control the resources of the trading networks that existed in the region as a whole and to derive benefit from the links of the region with other areas such as India or China. All the empires evolved administrative systems to give stability to trade. They also evolved different types of military organization. The achievements of one empire were often taken up by its successor. Over time, the area came to be marked by Persian, Greek, Latin, and Arabic above many other languages that were spoken and written. The empires were not very stable. This was partly due to disputes and conflict over resources in various regions. It was also due to the crises that developed in relations between empires and pastoral peoples to the north, from whom empires derived support both for their trade and to provide them with labor for production of manufactures and for their armies. It is worth noting that not all empires were city-centric. The Mongol Empire of Genghis Khan and his successors is a good example of how an empire could be maintained by pastoral people for a long time and with success. Religions that appealed to peoples of different ethnic origins who often spoke different languages were important in the making of large empires. This was true in the case of Christianity, which originated in Palestine in the early 1st century CE, and Islam, which originated in the 7th century CE. So, everyone, we have completed the introduction part. If you like the audiobook, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the Ultimate Audiobook. I'll meet you with a new chapter with we will start with an empire across 3 continents. So thank you and bye bye everyone.